This is a video I've been inspired to make by Seth the Programmer and Swagkage. They've both ranked the Akatsuki in their own videos, and I feel like it's time for me to say my opinion on the topic. I've got some unique takes and some unpopular opinions, so expect a new perspective in this video, especially in the middle of my list. Just remember that just because one person is above another, it doesn't mean that they can necessarily beat them in a fight. I couldn't make a linear list if that was the case. This list is an overall assessment of each character. Let's go ahead and start from the bottom.
Quit sticking it in like that. I said knock it off, that hurts.
What is this? Is he immortal?
Isn't that obvious, you fool?
At number 9 I have Hidan, and this shouldn't be a big surprise. It can be argued that my number 8 and number 9 should swap places, but I'll get to that when I talk about number 8. As for Hidan, we all know that he's immortal in the sense that he can recover from all injuries as long as they don't dismember his body. He can also curse people if he consumes their blood and creates a sigil to stand in. This curse links their body, allowing for Hidan to stab himself in order to also stab his opponent. On paper, Hidan is very good, but in execution he is a far cry from anyone above number 8 on this list. Hidan, with his insane durability and an almost uncounterable offense, tends to be overrated because of this. In order to understand how good he is, we should look at his two fights. He fought Asuma and Shikamaru at the same time, and ended up losing actually. He was able to curse Asuma, but because he played around, Shikamaru was able to stop and defeat him before he finished the job. Of course, Shikamaru has the advantage of being a long-range fighter, but Asuma is a close-range fighter, which made it easier for Hidan to draw his blood. He also wasn't able to draw blood from Kakashi despite Kakashi only having a kunai and Kakuzu's mask helping him. He was beat by Shikamaru, but Shikamaru is one of his best counters. He was able to best someone like Asuma, but he is a good matchup for Asuma. He wasn't able to best Kakashi, who is more of a neutral matchup though. So really, with all that said, Hidan is more of a high-level Jonin and a one-trick pony. He's got some strength and durability, but like I said, everyone above 7 on this list far exceed him. He could beat most Jonin that are close-range fighters, but lose to most long-range fighters that are Jonin.
I do believe in Naruto, and it's his turn now! Naruto will be the bridge to peace!
Next at number 8 I have Konan. She's the most unproven on this list, but there are moments that show that she's on the same tier as Hidan and even a little better. She assisted in Pain's invasion and showed that she could immobilize many Jonin by covering them in paper. Really what's most impressive about her is that she was able to blow up Obito's arm made out of Hashirama cells. This arm was able to block Suigetsu's executioner sword, so this says a lot about her paper bombs. If they can seriously damage someone like Obito, then her explosives must be somewhere between Deidara's C1 and C2 explosives. She could also detonate explosives for 5 to 10 minutes straight in order to defeat Obito. This means that these explosives take up little chakra, and she can use them quite liberally, unlike Deidara. Since she can disperse into paper, it makes her difficult to hit, and she has the ability to levitate. Both of these abilities make her defense amazing. Jiraiya did beat her with little effort, but his oil is a perfect counter for her. She's a high-level Jonin who I put over Hidan, mainly because their matchups are more consistent, and she could definitely beat him in a fight. Her explosives were able to dismember Obito's arm of Hashirama cells, so Hidan would also be very vulnerable to them. Hidan also has no way to close the distance she creates by levitating. Konan deserved more screen time in order to show what she was capable of. Her paper bombs pack a punch, and her defense is quite evasive, but for Akatsuki standards, she's at the lowest tier of all the members.
It's over!
Next at number 7, in his very own tier, I have Kakuzu. This is one of the more polarizing members, but I'm very confident in his placement on this list. Some people put him over Deidara and Sasori, but I don't see him being in the same tier as them actually. I'll first talk about Kakuzu generally before explaining why he isn't higher on this list. Kakuzu's main allure is that he has high durability and 5 lives early. He can use 4 masks that use their own nature transformations and functions as hearts for him. In his final fight, he had to be killed twice before the third attack was too much to recover from. Not only does he have longevity, but he also has durability. He had the strength to briefly hold up the Two-Tails paw and survived being stepped on by it. He also has the ability to harden his skin, which is the key to his strength really. This also allowed him to survive an explosive tag without taking any damage. More impressively, he was able to briefly live after Naruto hit him with a Rasen Shuriken. In comparison, the human path was disintegrated by this attack, but this was Sage Mode Naruto who was stronger. Nevertheless, his strength and durability are on the high end for an Akatsuki member. How does this set of abilities work in execution though? Kakuzu's masks are very underwhelming actually. They looked impressive destroying the dead trees around them, but Kakashi was able to take a hit from the wind mask and only got scuffed up from it. In comparison, Deidara's C2 was able to blow off Sasuke's curse mark wing. This isn't even Deidara's most powerful explosive by a long shot, and Sasuke in his curse mark state is far more durable than Kakashi. Even beyond that, Deidara's weaker C1 was able to defeat Gaara with a direct hit. You could say that Kakuzu only used one mask in this attack, but Deidara could use a combo attack too. He also hasn't shown the ability to defeat characters as powerful as anyone above him on this list. He was able to defeat Kakashi without much difficulty, but if Kakashi had used Kamui while pinned, what would have happened? After that, Naruto almost defeated him with a Rasen Shuriken, but it fizzled out right before contact. Even after Naruto showed Kakuzu his strategy, he still got surprised and defeated by him. Kakuzu should be a good matchup for Naruto too, but he still got defeated. In comparison, Deidara was able to defeat Gaara in the Sand Village. He also could have defeated Sasuke if he had not rage quit because he still had some clay left, when Sasuke had no chakra and could no longer even stand. Sasuke is the perfect counter for Deidara too, yet he still won that fight really. As for Sasori, he also fought his 2 perfect counters and wasn't serious until his most powerful weapon was destroyed. Even then, he only lost due to having a weak moment because of the mother and father puppet. Sakura and Chiyo are the perfect counters for him, and even were able to prepare an antidote for his poison. Sasori and Deidara also have many other abilities that are far more impressive than Kakuzu's. Bottom line is that Kakuzu was defeated by Naruto, while other members could defeat Gaara in the Sand Village, and overcome heavy disadvantages in counters against Sakura and Chiyo. Not only has Kakuzu not shown the same capabilities that Deidara and Sasori have, but his set of abilities don't even have the same potential either.
Kazekage?
Next at number 6 I have Sasori. Sasori sometimes gets underrated, and I'm sure that many people think I'm underrating him by putting him under Deidara. I've made a video talking about how they match up against each other, and I explained how Deidara didn't actually mean that Sasori was better than him. He was just trying to lure Kakashi away from Naruto. Anyway, I think that these two are by far the closest two on this list, and I almost want to tie them. Since I have to pick, I pick Deidara because I think his abilities and feats are a little more impressive than Sasori's. I'll talk more about that when I talk about Deidara. Sasori gets mocked for losing to Sakura, but Sakura is not bad actually. People have made this argument for Sasori a lot, but I'm going to go the extra mile for him. Matchups are very important in Naruto, and this is possibly the worst matchup in Naruto. Sasori counts on the ability to outlast his opponents and eventually poison them. Sakura is trained by Tsunade to evade attacks, and Chiyo also used her puppet strings to help her out at times. Even then, he was able to poison Chiyo and Sakura once, but because they had an antidote they were able to live. Sakura also had the physical strength to combat the Iron Sand, and had the ability to one-shot any of his puppets. Chiyo is also a high-level Jonin who is familiar with all of Sasori's abilities. So really, Sasori had to go against his perfect counter, but he could have won had he not messed around in the beginning. Instead, he played around and the third Kazekage puppet was destroyed. Once he got serious, he pushed Chiyo and Sakura to their limit and was about to win before his soft spot for his parents killed him. Chiyo even says in his final attack that he didn't try to dodge her attack. What I'm trying to say is that despite having so many disadvantages, he had the win in his hands. This is because he is actually very powerful. He can control the most powerful Kazekage, and one of the most powerful Kage ever. He can't control the Iron Sand as well as him, I don't think, but it's still very powerful. His poison is incredibly potent, and doesn't allow his opponents to make a mistake. He can also control 100 puppets at once, and he himself is a puppet. Obviously there's a lot left to be desired when it comes to feats, but I think he showed during his only fight just how powerful he is. The Iron Sand is an almost perfect defense, and his poison is an almost perfect offense. Of course, this is an Akatsuki list though, so he has very stiff competition ahead of him. Next to number 5, and in the same tier as Sasori, I have Deidara. I'm sure that many people don't think he's better than Sasori and Kakuzu, but I think he's just a hair better than Sasori. Sasori sort of lacks the feat that Deidara has, and I wish he could have been able to fight someone else than Sakura and Chiyo. For example, Deidara was able to defeat Gaara in the Sand Village, where he had unlimited sand at his disposal. Gaara's sand is also very effective in blocking its explosives, which is another disadvantage in this fight. It was a high difficulty win, but thanks to the diversity of his explosives, he was able to burrow through Gaara's sand to win. There's also his fight against Sasuke, where he had an even greater disadvantage. Sasuke's lightning style can disarm Deidara's explosives, which allowed for Sasuke to nullify many attacks from Deidara. Even beyond that, Deidara was able to keep his distance from Sasuke, and once Sasuke finally got him on the ground, he was too exhausted to fight by that point. Deidara still had explosives left, but instead rage quit and detonated himself. So with all of that being said, why do I think Deidara is stronger than Kakuzu and Sasori? His C1 was able to defeat Gaara, whereas Kakuzu's mask could only scuff up Kakashi. His C2 could destroy Sasuke's Curse Mark Wing, which could hold off someone as strong as Jugo. His C3 threatened to blow up the entire Sand Village, which rivals Pain levels of power. This is far beyond anything Kakuzu can do on offense or tank on defense. His C4 are his nano explosives, and these are the main reason why he's so high. They can't be seen, and even if some type of sensory type realizes what's happening, it's already too late. The only way to disarm them is through running lightning style through your entire body. The only people that can do that is Sasuke and A. Of course, C4 is a last resort, so people that can take Deidara down early are fine. This isn't the same case for people that are on his level and have no answer for C4. C4 is really overlooked, but it is an almost uncounterable jutsu. All of his explosives are terrific offense, but his defense is being able to fly. Taking him out of the air is tough enough, considering he's faster than Gaara's sand. Even if you do that, he can get back in the air quickly, as he showed after Sasuke pinned him down. Not many people can deal with Deidara's aerial superiority, and even if they do, trying to counter C3 and C4 is incredibly difficult. Deidara and Sasori have some insane arsenals that the plot demanded be countered heavily. The difference between them is Deidara got more screen time, and was able to show off what he was capable of more. His aerial superiority is an almost perfect defense, and his wide range of explosives are an almost perfect offense.
The thing about me is, the stronger my opponent is, the stronger I become as well. I will not tire.
Next to number 4 I have Kisame. I think he's in the same tier as Sasori and Deidara, but he's almost good enough to be a tier above. What this tier has in common is that they are matchup nightmares for most, but they were all killed off because they went against the perfect counters. Kisame's ability set consists of water style, stealing chakra, and physical strength. He's shown with a clone containing 30% chakra that he could create enough water to make a very deep lake out of the landscape. He also has his water dome, where he is always the center of the dome. Many characters that lack mobility or firepower will easily drown in this. His chakra absorption is his strongest ability. He naturally already has tailed beast levels of chakra, and Samihada can absorb levels of chakra in one swing that surpass most shinobi. He was able to absorb enough of B's chakra that very early on in the fight, B admitted that he had lost most of his chakra and had to rely on the Eight Tails. The most chakra Samihada can absorb in one go is when he reduced version 2 into version 1. Even just a version 1 QB cloak was able to increase Warwick Kakashi's chakra by 3 times. A QB cloak should be considerably stronger than an Eight Tails cloak, but even then this is incredible. If Kisame was serious and made solid contact with any Jonin, he could arguably take enough chakra to instantly kill them. That's on the high side, and on the low side, it'd be taking over 50%. Even for most Kage, they would lose large amounts of chakra to this move. Even above and beyond all of this, he should be able to absorb jutsu just like the Preta Path. It's a poor man's version of it, but it's still useful. Finally, Kisame's physical strength is almost what puts him above Deidara and Sasori. Deidara has his aerial range and Sasori has his iron sand, but Kisame's endurance is his defense. For starters, he showed to be able to react to B's speed and strength and base with no problem. In version 1, it was also the case, and he could even manhandle him with Samihada. Version 1B was able to kill 1MS Sasuke in one hit, while Kisame could overpower him really. He couldn't compare to version 2, but it didn't matter. He took the hit on the chin, and was able to regenerate from his chest being torn open thanks to Samihada. He naturally already has tailed beast levels of chakra, so he didn't even need to use B's chakra there to regenerate. Version 2B couldn't kill Kisame in a contest of physical strength, so not many others could. The extent of his endurance is 7 Gate Sky's strongest attack. He was even able to survive that and not even be in that bad of shape after being captured. The best part is that his Super Water Shark Bomb can absorb jutsu to amplify its own strength. The extent of what it can absorb is undetermined, but it's a large jutsu. So really, to sum all this up, Kisame's physical strength and endurance is rivaled by few, and he has a lot of firepower in his arsenal. Most importantly, he can absorb high levels of chakra that even the second strongest held beast couldn't recover from after a fight. But just like everyone else in this tier, he died against his worst possible matchup because his abilities were too strong for most.
Go on, make it happen.
Next to number 3 and in the highest tier I have Itachi. This is a pretty safe spot on this list, but I think Itachi is much closer to Obito in Pain than people realize. I do think they are overall more powerful than him, but when it comes to a fight, it's very tight in both cases. I've made a video talking about the Itachi vs Pain matchup, which most people seem to think Pain wins easily. I think it's closer than that, and I feel the same about Itachi vs Obito. Everyone can agree that Itachi is high in the Akatsuki pecking order, but I actually find him underrated in general. His arsenal is very powerful and he's shown that against high-level characters. For example, just by pointing at Naruto, he was able to put him under a genjutsu that he couldn't escape. In my opinion, the series implies that the more chakra you have, the harder you are to put under genjutsu. Yet Itachi can put Naruto under genjutsu without making eye contact. Naruto easily has Kage-level chakra levels, so this is impressive how even his weaker genjutsus are this good. Naruto wasn't the only one to fall prey to this, as Orochimaru fell for a paralysis genjutsu. Even Sasuke with a Sharingan who understood how Tsukuyomi works couldn't even prevent being put under it in their fight. Genjutsu is just one element of his arsenal, and was able to put people like Sasuke, Deidara, Naruto, and Orochimaru under it. Itachi can also kill people with Tsukuyomi, and if Sasuke's Sharingan can't resist it, then the people below him on this list are highly vulnerable to it as well. His physical strength and speed is also top tier for an Akatsuki. He was able to fight against Casey and Naruto in hand-to-hand combat, and fight alongside EMS Sasuke. Even if his Genjutsu and Taijutsu aren't good enough, he has Amaterasu and his Susanoo. His Amaterasu was fast enough to catch heavy Sasuke, and he was even being cautious and only going for his wing. Amaterasu has also been shown to defeat the Eight Tails with ease. His most powerful ability is his Susanoo though. On the low end, his Yadamira can block Kirin, and on the high end, his skeletal Susanoo can. His Totsuka blade made quick work of Orochimaru's Hydra transformation, and his speed is beyond comprehension for most. Orochimaru couldn't even react to it in plain sight, and Nagato failed to react to it on 2 separate occasions. Both times were on his blind side, but he was on his toes and anticipating an attack. Itachi can defeat people like Orochimaru and Naruto with ease, and is a serious threat to people like Obito and Pain too. Next at number 2 I have Pain. Pain has to put in a lot more effort than Itachi in fights typically, but I still believe that he's stronger overall. This is because he has more raw power in general. His most powerful almighty push was able to destroy the entire Leaf Village, so just imagine if he focused all of that power onto one person. He also has planetary devastation, which is stronger than it appears. When Pain used it, Nagato was already low on chakra, and he really had to push hard in order to complete it. The individual passive Pain are also rather strong too. Sage Mode Jiraiya struggled against just the animal and Preta path, and then stood no chance against all 6 paths at once. Each path of Pain also worked individually to destroy the Leaf Village, and did so without too much trouble. 2 paths of Pain were destroyed, but since one path can revive the others, it didn't even matter. They're only so strong though, especially once you get to know their abilities. Sage Mode Naruto handily beat the 5 weakest paths of Pain, but the strongest one is why he's so high on the list. The Diva path pinned Naruto like it was nothing, and he was able to restrain the 4-tailed Naruto with planetary devastation. No one below Pain on this list has the tools to defeat Sage Mode Naruto as casually as Pain did. This, along with his tremendous raw power, is why he's number 2 on this list.
We're just going to have to finish this some other time.
Finally, at number 1 I have Obito. As much as I don't like it, Kamui is the reason why he's number 1. He's not always the smartest with it, but Izanagi is his true saving grace. It allowed him to survive Amaterasu and Conan's paper bomb trap. His Kamui is still very impressive too, of course. He shouldn't have ever let Conan kill him, but that was arrogance on his part. When he's up against an opponent he respects, he's cautious to the point that it's almost no progress can be made against him. The only things that were able to defeat him when he's trying was the Flying Thunder God and Kakashi's Kamui, since it's the same jutsu almost. So ignoring Kakashi being lucky, it took Minato going at his maximum speed in order to overcome Kamui. Even the Rasengan that landed on him by Minato of all people didn't even kill him. It defeated him, but the fact that he can survive Minato's Rasengan says a lot about his durability. So even if you do manage to land a hit on him, he's still got his durability that he can count on. As I said earlier, I think Pain and Itachi have possible ways to beat him, but it's not for certain. I said certain jutsus were almost uncounterable earlier in the video, but Kamui is the ultimate almost uncounterable jutsu. He is the true leader of the Akatsuki after all, so it makes sense that he's number 1 on this list. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos in the future. Comment something if you want to have something to say. And thank y'all for watching, and I guess I'll see y'all next time.